Fear not. All right, let's get to Vladipoo being glazed up by the King Glazer himself, Tucker Carlson.
Is an interview with the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, shot February 6, 2024 at about 7 p.m. in the building behind us, which is, of course, the Kremlin. The interview, as you will see if you watch it, is primarily about the war in progress, the war in Ukraine, how it started, what's happening, and most pressingly, how it might end. One note before you watch. At the beginning of the interview, we asked the most obvious question, which is, why did you do this? Did you feel a threat, an imminent physical threat? And that's your justification. And the answer we got shocked us. Putin went on for a very long time, probably half an hour, about the history of Russia going back to the 8th century. And honestly, we thought this was a filibustering technique and found it annoying and interrupted him several times. And he responded he was annoyed by the interruption. But we concluded in the end, for what it's worth, that it was not a filibustering technique. There was no time limit on the interview. We ended it after more than 2 hours. Instead, what you're about to see seemed to us sincere, whether you agree with it or not. Vladimir Putin believes that Russia has a historic claim to parts of Western Ukraine. So our opinion would be to view it in that light, as a sincere expression.
Vladimir Putin believes sincerely that he has a historic claim to parts of not Eastern, Western Ukraine? Is that a misspeak? Or is this motherfucker on crack cocaine? Oh my Lord.
Of what he thinks. And with that, here it is. Mr. President, thank you. On February 22nd, 2022, you addressed your country in a nationwide address when the conflict in Ukraine started. And you said that you were acting because you had come to the conclusion that the United States, through NATO, might initiate a, quote, surprise attack on our country. And to American ears, that sounds paranoid. Tell us why you believe the United States might strike Russia.
Dude, I've seen Vladimir Putin in such limited ways that immediately when I see him in a situation like this, my mind goes to that TikTok Vladimir Putin that's always like hitting the nuclear button on the White House, like dancing with the skibbity dope guy. Like it feels like it's not real. It feels like he's not the guy. That this is the Vladimir Putin impersonator that's gonna start dancing. You know what I'm talking about? You have to know the Vladimir Putin body double guy, like.
Out of the blue. How did you conclude that?
It's not that America, the United States, was going to launch a surprise strike on Russia. I didn't say that. Are we having a talk show or a serious conversation?
Here's the quote. Thank you. It's a formidable series.
Oh my God. He is sucking on the pee-pee, dude. Yo! Yo! Oh, God. Yo! Oh, Jesus Christ.
Because your basic education is in history, as far as I understand.
Yes.
So if you don't mind, I will take only 30 seconds or 1 minute to give you a short reference to history for giving you a little historical background.
Please.
Let's look where our relationship with Ukraine started from. Where did Ukraine come from? The Russian state started gathering itself as a centralized statehood, and it is considered to be the year of the establishment of the Russian state in 862, when the townspeople of Novgorod invited a Varangian prince.
Bro, are you for real, dude? Are you for really real? That's insane that we are. Bro, he's like, let me tell you how we were a gas cloud, okay? Let me tell you about the Big Bang. You can't just, dude, he's doing Russ lore dumps.
Rurik from Scandinavia to reign. In 1862, Russia celebrated the 1000th anniversary of its statehood.
Oh my God, he's literally doing Israel. Oh my God, he's doing Netanyahu Israel shit. It's so funny. Oh God, this is why I love like Ukrainian flag, Israeli flag in the bio guys who just like don't realize that what Vladimir Putin is doing is literally like it's Israel shit.
And in Novgorod, there is a memorial dedicated to the 1000th anniversary of the country. In 882, Rurik's successor, Prince Oleg, who was actually playing the role of regent at Rurik's younger son, because Rurik had died by that time, came to Kiev. He ousted two brothers who
He's doing that because Ukraine is stealing Russian history live. He has to explain why it's wrong.
apparently had once been members
Yeah, the Russian claimed that the Kievan Rus were Russian. By that logic, Ukraine can claim Russia too. Turn it into a real... Why do you keep comparing Russia to Israel? What the fuck? First of all, are you familiar with both of these countries? Fuck you mean? Comparing Russia to Israel is definitely not out of pocket at all. Okay? Also, Russia and Israel have a pretty solid relationship, despite the fact that Vladimir Putin is always like, oh yeah, I love Palestinians. Like, you know, a lot of Russians in Israel. Okay? So that's number one. Number two, he's literally doing like lore dumps and Russian mythology to justify his irredentist actions in Ukraine. Why do you keep comparing Russia to Israel? What the fuck? I'm Palestinian. Okay. So? He has no real nationalist... Like, look, if you talk about being genuinely afraid of NATO or wanting to put forward a red line as a matter of national security, as a foreign adversary, that's one argument. If you make irredentist claims with like lore dumps about why you should actually invade Ukraine and take it over, because technically, you know, that's your land, all right? Then yeah, you're doing directly IDF playbook shit. You're doing Israel propaganda to a T.
members of Rurik's squad. So Russia began to develop with two centers of power, Kiev and Novgorod. The next very significant date in the history of Russia was 988. This was the baptism of Russia, when Prince Vladimir, the great-grandson of Rurik, baptized Russia and adopted Orthodoxy, or Eastern Christianity. From this time, the centralized Russian state began to strengthen. Why? Because of the single territory, integrated economic ties, one and the same language, and, after the baptism of Russia, the same faith and rule of the prince. The centralized Russian state began to take shape. Back in the Middle Ages, Prince Yaroslav the Wise introduced the order of succession to a throne. But after he passed away, it became complicated for various reasons.
Okay.
The throne was passed not directly from father to eldest son, but from the prince who had passed away to his brother, then to his sons in different lines. All this led to the fragmentation and the end of Rus as a single state. There was nothing special about it. The same was happening then in Europe. But the fragmented Russian state became an easy prey to...
Connor, this is the stuff that American media doesn't want you to know, I guess. Yeah, incredibly boring, convoluted arguments that don't make any fucking sense unless you're like completely one-sided on the issue. Like, this is what my fucking haters think I'm making a claim on like Taiwan with respect to China. Like, this is what they think I'm saying. When I talk about like Taiwan's historical significance or its inception, while still maintaining the position that if they truly want autonomy, then they deserve it. But I completely understand where the Chinese position comes from as far as like their own security interests, okay? As America utilizes Taiwan as like a weapon against their foreign adversary, wields Taiwan and Taiwanese independence as a weapon against their foreign adversary, and why most people in Taiwan, while they do want independence, understand that the current current order of business of economic cooperation is significantly better than anything else. This is what they think I mean when I talk about all this shit. They think I'm saying like, well, Taiwan is Chinese, and therefore it belongs to mainland China. Was the U.S. not doing that in Ukraine? Not saying that the invasion was justified? No, the U.S.'s utilization of Ukraine against Russia and claiming that they were going to bring Ukraine into NATO when they weren't actually ever really interested in bringing them into NATO, okay, is a way to inflame the tensions. But the goal is not to eat the bait, especially after you have already annexed Crimea. Anyway,
The empire created earlier by King Khan. His successors, namely Batu Khan, came to Rus, plundered and ruined nearly all the cities. The southern part, including Kiev, by the way, and some other cities, simply lost independence, while northern cities preserved some of their sovereignty. They had to pay tribute to the horde, but they managed.
I'm precogging him blaming Ukraine's existence on Lenin. I mean, it's not, he's blamed Lenin before for
to
it.
preserve some part of their sovereignty. And then a unified Russian state began to take shape with its center in Moscow. The southern part of Russian lands.
That's wrong. The U.S. was never reluctant to bring Ukraine into NATO. Quite the contrary. Yeah, no, that's why Ukraine is currently in NATO and Article 5 was implemented, and that's why there's American troops currently fighting in a direct hot war with Russia. You're right. No, totally. When George W. Bush said we're going to bring Georgia and Ukraine into NATO on his way out in like the last month of his presidency, basically, that was and fuck Russia's red lines on that matter. That totally was real and valid, you know. Dog, for NATO to operate, you still need cooperation from European states to also vote in for new members. That even includes like ridiculous guys like Turkey, Erdogan, which are still easy to control, as Erdogan has also chirped about Sweden and Finland and then capitulated immediately. Okay. But the notion that they were going to not take seriously Russia's red lines and actually put Ukraine into NATO, fast track Ukraine into NATO, was always a ridiculous argument. The Russian argument would just be that the invasion was to prevent Ukraine joining NATO, except Ukraine wasn't joining NATO regardless because they had already successfully annexed Crimea,
including Kiev, began to gradually gravitate.
By the way, none of what we just talked about, everything that we just talked about is related to, obviously, Russia's invasion of Ukraine and why it's unjustifiable. And none of what Vladimir Putin has talked about so far is even, in my opinion, remotely related to them invading Ukraine. Unless, as liberals have clearly fucking stated time and time again in their Yaponomics sessions, that Vladimir Putin is irredentist, Vladimir Putin is imperialist, Vladimir Putin does want Ukraine, and he's basically saying, yeah, no, I do actually. They weren't lying. On God, I want Ukraine. I'm so horny for Ukraine.
Towards another magnet, the center that was emerging in Europe. This was the Grand Duchy of Lithuania. It was even called the Lithuanian-Russian Duchy, because Russians were a significant part of this population. They spoke the old Russian language and were Orthodox. But then there was a unification, the union of the Grand Duchy of Lithuania and the Kingdom of Poland. A few years later, another union was signed, but this time already in the religious sphere. Some of the Orthodox priests became subordinate to the Pope. Thus, these lands became part of the Polish-Lithuanian state.
Vladimir Putin. He is yap-maxing.
During decades, the Poles were engaged in Polonization of this part of the population. They introduced their language there, tried to entrench the idea that this population was not exactly Russians, that because they lived on the fringe, they were Ukrainians.
Ukraine wasn't joining NATO anyway because there was a war in the east and in occupied areas, which literally stops it becoming a member state. Until that's resolved. It couldn't join since 2014. So claiming it will join in 2022 is just a justification as a pure lie. No, I know that. I recognize that, which is why I'm saying that it was ridiculous that Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine to begin with, And I'm also following up on that and saying that it's also gross on the Western side that they kept selling this tall tale to the Ukrainian population. They were like, come on, go die, go die, go die in defense of Ukraine. We're going to get you, we're going to put, we're leading up to the last invasion. They were like, no, trust me, we're so going to give you NATO. You're going to be in NATO. Please, I promise you're going to be in NATO. It's bullshit. Why do you think he invaded Ukraine other than to keep their market and economy in the Russian market and prevent it becoming a EU subsidiary? I think he invaded Ukraine because he's he very openly is stating it. He's a fucking idiot who personally thought that this would be the most effective way of dealing with any kind of Western involvement that Ukraine would have. Any kind of Western involvement that Ukraine would have, he would be able to like cut short. I also personally think that he greatly overestimated the air superiority that they would have. That's what I think. I think he thought we have air superiority, we'll overtake it, which was stupid from the jump. Like, it was always stupid. And as much as people say I'm a fucking Vladimir Putin dick rider, I stated very clearly, even before Russia invaded Ukraine and certainly after, that it was virtually impossible for the Russian military to permanently annex a country whose national identity is quite literally comprised, like the basic fundamentals of being a Ukrainian is about not being Russian, okay? Is about literally, even in certain instances, basically fucking aligning with the Nazis like Bandera to not be Russian. 44 million people used to live in Ukraine before the invasion, okay? Their entire nationalist identity is comprised of not being Russian. There is no fucking shot. There is no shot that they were going to be able to permanently annex, especially the Western areas, okay? Most analysts agree. Everyone overemphasizes the effectiveness of Russia's massive air force, coupled with the fact that Russian strikes on the first days failed to destroy Ukraine's air defenses. Yeah. It's stupid. It was stupid. Why? Because Ukraine was fully supplied and filled with all different weapons? No, it was always stupid because it was impossible to permanently annex. It was impossible to permanently annex a country like that. Counterinsurgent. Guys, look at fucking Gaza. Look at Gaza and Israel. Israel has a infinitely stronger military force with so much better weapons. And they, over the course of the past couple of months, have lost more military members in fucking Gaza than they did against fucking Lebanon over the course of years. Okay? Do you understand how devastating that shit is? You cannot do a fucking counterinsurgency in an urban environment against a population that has nowhere else to go and is going to fight tooth and fucking nail. This is no longer like war is no longer like, oh, you get your legionnaires out there, they get their legionnaires and you fucking fight in the open field. And then the rest is just peasantry that you roll over with your cavalry. And then now it's your territory. It doesn't work like that anymore. Okay. You got fucking dudes buying drones off of Alibaba and dropping grenades on top of like Russian military positions while filming it and posting it on fucking subreddits. Like, what are we talking about? There is as much advancement as we've seen in the field of modern war. There's also a democratization effect in the form of like Bayraktars, for example. Anyway. Like, think about Vietnam. Think about Afghanistan 1. Think about Afghanistan 2. Afghanistan 1 with the USSR. Afghanistan 2 with the United States of America. It's just like, it seems that people don't understand. They think like, no, my dad can beat up your dad. My dad's dick is bigger than your dad's dick. And that's how things work. If that's how things work, then America would literally, America would have built one massive McDonald's on Afghanistan and called it a fucking day. Anyway. It's ridiculous. Wait, what did you say? The live stream I was watching just went down on YouTube, so you'd probably be next. Wait, why? This is not like, this is perfectly valid to watch. That's ridiculous. What? Anyway, let's continue.
Originally, the word Ukrainian meant that the person was living on the outskirts of the state, along the fringes, or was engaged in a border patrol service. It didn't mean any particular ethnic group. So the Poles were trying to, in every possible way, to colonize this part of the Russian lands and actually treated it rather harshly, not to say cruelly. All that led to the fact that this part of the Russian lands began to struggle for their rights. They wrote letters to Warsaw demanding that their rights be observed and people be commissioned here, including to Kiev.
I beg your pardon, can you tell us what period, I'm losing track of where in history we are, the Polish oppression of Ukraine?
It was in the 13th century. Now I will tell you what happened later and give the dates so that there is no confusion. And in 1654, even a bit earlier, the people who were in control of the authority over that part of the Russian lands addressed Warsaw,
This is
I repeat,
Yaponomics,
demanding that
dude.
they send them to rulers of Russian origin and Orthodox faith. When Warsaw did not answer them, and in fact rejected their demands, they turned to Moscow, so that Moscow took them away. So that you don't think that I'm inventing things, I'll give you these documents.
Well, it doesn't sound like you're inventing it. I'm not sure why it's relevant to what happened.
Bro, he's like, he has to fake it so hard. Dude, he fakes it harder than Chat's mom every night. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you brought a document. Or maybe he thinks the document is like laced or something.
But still, these are documents from the archives, copies. Here are the letters from Bogdan Khmelnytsky, the man who then controlled the power in this part of the Russian lands that is now called Ukraine. He wrote to Warsaw demanding that their rights be upheld. And after being refused, he began to write letters to Moscow, asking to take them under the strong hand of the Moscow Tsar. There are copies of these documents. I will leave them for your good memory. There is a translation into Russian. You can translate it into English later. Russia would not agree to admit them straight away, assuming that the war with Poland would start. Nevertheless, in 1654, the Pan-Russian Assembly of top clergy and landowners, headed by the Tsar, which was the representative body of the power of the old Russian state, decided to include a part of the old Russian lands into Moscow Kingdom. As expected, the war with Poland began. It lasted 13 years, and then in 1654...
I like what he's doing. I think we should... when all else fails, you can always blame Poland. Okay? And, you know, that's not the worst idea.
A truce was concluded. And 32 years later, I think, a peace treaty with Poland, which they called Eternal Peace, was signed. And these lands, the whole left bank of Dnieper, including Kiev, went to Russia. And the whole right bank of Dnieper remained in Poland. Under the rule of Catherine the Great, Russia reclaimed all of its historical lands, including in the south and west. This all lasted until the revolution.
For the record, like, I not to be super libbed up here, but this is one area where liberals are vindicated when they talk about like how, oh, he's just like a Duginist. He's like repeating Alexander Dugin. But if this is a justification for invading Ukraine, then yes, the liberals are actually correct that this is just simply pure irredentist action that that he believes is justified due to the historical reasons as to why Ukraine is actually a part of Russia.
Before World War
this is straight up blood and soil shit.
War I, Austrian General Staff relied on the ideas of Ukrainianization and started actively promoting the ideas of Ukraine and the Ukrainianization. Their motive was obvious. Just before World War I, they wanted to weaken the potential enemy and secure themselves favorable conditions in the border area. So the idea which had emerged in Poland that people residing in that territory were allegedly not really Russians, but rather belonged to a special ethnic group, Ukrainians, started being propagated by the Austrian General Staff. As far back as the 19th century, theorists calling for Ukrainian independence appeared. All those, however, claimed that Ukraine should have a very good relationship with Russia. They insisted on that. After the 1917 revolution,
Ukraine does not share culture with Russians? Of course it does, man. That's not what I'm saying. I mean, it's like that's not. It doesn't matter. That doesn't mean that he can go and take it.
the Bolsheviks sought to restore the statehood and the civil war began, including the hostilities with Poland. In 1921, peace with Poland was proclaimed, and under that treaty, the right bank of Dnieper River once again was given back to Poland. In 1939, after Poland cooperated with Hitler, it did collaborate with Hitler, you know? Hitler offered Poland peace and a treaty of friendship.
Israelis don't share culture with the Palestinians because they're from Europe? Yeah, dude, totally. Every Israeli's from Europe. What are you talking about, dude? There's hella fucking Arab Jews. So many people who are like technically pro-Palestinian literally don't understand a very important aspect of this, okay? No, there are a lot of Israeli people that are classified as Jewish and therefore not Arab, not seen as Arab in the eyes of the Israeli government, even though they're fucking Arab Jews, which means, yes, they do have a shit ton of shared culture. It's actually the majority too. So no, it's not Palestinian citizens of Israel either. I'm not talking about the 22% Arab Christians and Arab Muslims. I'm talking specifically about Arab Jews that are classified as Jewish, Mizrahi and Sephardi, especially Sephardi in Israel. Or yeah, Mizrahi and Sephardi, not Sephardi especially. Sorry, Mizrahi especially.
An alliance demanding in return that Poland give back to Germany the so-called Danzig corridor, which connected the bulk of Germany with East Prussia and Königsberg. After World War I, this territory was transferred to Poland, and instead of Danzig, a city of Dansk emerged. Hitler asked them to give it amicably, but they refused.
Of course.
Still, they collaborated with Hitler and engaged together in the partitioning of Czechoslovakia.
But may I ask you, you're making the case that Ukraine, certainly parts of Ukraine, Eastern Ukraine, is in effect Russia has been for hundreds of years. Why wouldn't you just take it when you became president 24 years ago? You have nuclear weapons, they don't. If it's actually your land, why did you wait so long?
I'll tell you. I'm coming to that. This briefing is coming to an end. It might be boring, but it explains many things.
You just don't know how it's relevant.
Good. Good. I'm so gratified that
Dude. Tucker said, come on, man, wrap it up, which is crazy. You can't say that. You cannot say, quit your yapping unless you are so... unless you are playing such a profoundly important role as like a Western mouthpiece for Russia, there's no shot you can get away with saying that to Vladimir Putin, I feel like. Bro, while Tucker Carlson's having this conversation, just so people understand, there are American journalists that are in prison. There are Russian journalists in prison in Russia. There are obviously real spies that are also American spies that are in prison in Russia as well. But like, there are people who should definitely not be in prison in Russia for the crime of doing actual journalism. Okay. There are also, I'm not talking about like fucking Paul Whelan. All right. Mr. Passport Aficionado. I'm talking like straight up the Wall Street Journal guy, for example. There's like, is the Wall Street Journal guy, the Evan Greer or whatever his name is, like that. There are dudes who are Evan Gershkovich. There are dudes who should not be in prison that are in prison in Russia for doing journalism, for literally doing what Tucker Carlson claims no one is doing in Russia. Okay? That I think is like pretty fucked up. Obviously, when you look at it from the perspective of when you look at it from the perspective of like all the CNN journalists have like turned a blind eye to the death and destruction that fell upon every Arab journalist in the region since Israel decided to do ethnic cleansing, right? In Gaza, they're being kind of phony when they go, oh, look at all these journalists. But like, I'm not. I do think that you can't fucking jail, prosecute journalists like that. Okay? You can't do that. You can't kill journalists like Israel's doing. You can't prosecute and criminalize journalism like Russia has done. It's fucked up.
You appreciate that. Thank you. So, before World War II, Poland collaborated with Hitler, and although it did not yield to Hitler's...
Yeah, we do it too, by the way. Yeah, of course. Of course we do it too. Edward Snowden, Chelsea Manning, Julian Assange, and you know, Ukraine does a different version of this as well. Like, don't get me wrong. They do it too. Everybody does it. But I still think it's fucking wrong and bullshit.
Demands, it still participated in the partitioning of Czechoslovakia together with Hitler, as the Poles had not given the Danzig corridor to Germany and went so far, pushing Hitler to start World War II by attacking them. Why was it Poland against whom?
Turkey's jailing so many journalists. You say nothing about that. Yeah, I famously never talk about Erdogan being super fucking hardcore anti-freedom of speech. Yeah, that's why I go back to Turkey all the time, famously. That's why I don't have a famous story about writing for the Huffington Post about the Turkish coup and how, you know, I was threatened personally through an intermediary about not writing for Turkey at all. Thank you, though, chatter. Baram DD, Turkey's jailing so many journalists. You say nothing about that. What's next? Are you going to be like, oh, you never talk about the Armenian genocide, you fucking dumb piece of shit? Why are my fucking haters so goddamn stupid where they immediately go, he's Turkish. He would never fucking talk shit about Turkey. Suck my dick, dumbass. What have you done? What sacrifices have you made in your life? You know what I mean? I get fucking death threats on a goddamn basis for the shit that I say. How dare you? I can't even fucking go back to Turkey safely. And you're over here talking this big shit with no knowledge prior. How dare you? Fucking assholes, man. Address the allegations, bud. Yeah, okay. What's happening here? What are we doing? Top of the hour ad breaks? It's not top of the hour. It's middle of the hour.
The war started on 1st September 1939, Poland turned out to be uncompromising, and Hitler had nothing to do but start implementing his plans with Poland. By the way, the USSR, I have read some archive documents, behaved very honestly. It asked Poland's permission to transit its troops through the Polish territory to help Czechoslovakia. But the then Polish foreign minister said that if the Soviet planes flew over Poland, they would be downed over the territory of Poland. But that doesn't matter. What matters is that the war began, and Poland fell prey to the policies it had pursued against Czechoslovakia, as under the well-known Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. Part of the territory, including western Ukraine, was to be given to Russia. Thus, Russia, which was then named the USSR, regained...
There ain't no fucking way he's using Molotov-Ribbentrop as like as a good thing. Like, no shot, right? He's like, no, it was actually really good. Like, it was really chill when Nazi Germany gave the USSR Ukraine.
its historical lands. After the victory in the Great Patriotic War, as we call World War II, all those territories were ultimately enshrined as belonging to Russia, to the USSR. As for Poland, it received, apparently in compensation, the lands which had originally been German. The eastern parts of Germany, these are now western lands of Poland. Of course,
Centrist Jesus Charlie on an alt-right arc when it comes to not genociding Palestinians? What? Dude, come
Poland
on.
regained access to the Baltic
We're being serious right
Sea
now.
and Danzig,
Take a week off.
which was once again given its Polish name. So this was how this situation developed. In 1922, when the USSR was being established, the Bolsheviks started building the USSR.
Chat validates everything, dude. Come on, Hassan, you think Charles is going to talk about Palestinians? No. But I also didn't understand how you could be alt-right in defense of Israel. That's what I was like trying to comprehend what the fuck that person was saying. Don't validate him, Chad. Come on, that wasn't even good. You're saluting mid. When you salute mid, you want more mid. Did you buy this interview, lol? No, it's free.
And established the Soviet.
The interview is free for all to watch because this is a profoundly important work of journalism, according to Tucker Carlson.
Ukraine,
He wants everybody
which had
to
never
see it.
existed before.
Right.
Stalin insisted that those republics be included in the USSR as autonomous entities. For some inexplicable reason, Lenin, the founder of the Soviet state, insisted that they be entitled to withdraw from the USSR. And again, for some unknown reasons, he transferred to that newly established...
bro, he's like this one, shitting on Lenin while also hyping up Stalin, shitting on Lenin for like talking about Ukrainian autonomy while hyping up Stalin, while also being a rugged anti-communist. He hits like every wrong aspect of the story. He even talked about how Germany gave Ukraine to the USSR. So technically, like how Hitler gave Ukraine to the USSR, so it's technically theirs. It's like, what is he trying to do? He's trying to make a historical argument from literally all of the worst points that you can make. Do you think he's a Nazball? No, man. What are you talking about? He's just he's a hyper-nationalistic capitalist oligarch. The idea that he is like, even in any way, shape, or form. I talked about this before. The only reason why Vladimir Putin even remotely mentions the USSR in a relatively positive terms is because he, like a lot of Russian fucking boomers, does not give a shit about communism. Well, some Russian boomers might give a shit about communism, but he does not give a shit about communism. He is literally a fucking, he's a capitalist charlatan from the jump. He only cares about Russia having like this mythology of power, like a Russian empire. Okay? That's it. He just wants Russia to be a global superpower. And that is the only reason why he cares about the USSR. He does not care about the USSR. He is the reason why he is in power is because of the illegal dissolution of the USSR, which he participated in. Okay? He does not give a fuck about that beyond the actual legacy. There is no like ideological goals there. There's no agenda for any kind of like communist restoration project. He just cares about it as like it was a mighty power. It was a mighty power. It was a global superpower. It competed with the United States of America, and that's it. He wants to be to have a role in a multipolar world. That's it.
The Soviet Republic of Ukraine, some of the lands together with people living there, even though those lands had never been called Ukraine, and yet they were made part of that Soviet Republic of Ukraine. Those lands included the Black Sea region, which was received under Catherine the Great, and which had no historical connection with Ukraine whatsoever. Even if we go as far back as 1654, when these lands...
Shitting on Lenin and supporting Stalin is the most basic stance. As you said, it should be the opposite, by the way. It should be promoting Stalin, or not promoting Stalin. It should be promoting Lenin and like criticizing Stalin for, you know, a lot of his mishandlings. And yet he does the exact opposite because he is not even remotely pro-socialist. It's not about socialism for him at all. There's no like ideological purpose beyond this restoration of the USSR outside of land ownership. But yeah, as you said, boomer capitalists and nationalists rule the country. Source M. Russian.
Lands returned to Russian Empire. That territory was the size of 3 to 4 regions of modern Ukraine, with no Black Sea region. That was completely out of the question.
In 1654.
Exactly.
You obviously have encyclopedic knowledge of this region, but why didn't you make this case for the first 22 years as president that Ukraine wasn't a real country?
The Soviet Union was given a great deal of territory that had never belonged to it, including the Black Sea region. At some point, when Russia received them as an outcome of the Russo-Turkish Wars, they were called New Russia or Novorossiya. But that does not matter. What matters is that Lenin, the founder of the Soviet state, established Ukraine that way. For decades, the Ukrainian Soviet Republic developed as part of the USSR. And for unknown reasons, again, the Bolsheviks were engaged in Ukrainianization. It was not merely because the Soviet leadership was composed to a great extent of those originating from Ukraine. Rather, it was explained by the general policy of indigenization pursued by the Soviet Union. Same things were done in other Soviet republics. This involved promoting national languages and national cultures, which is not a bad in principle. That is how the Soviet Ukraine was created. After the World War II, Ukraine received, in addition to the lands that had belonged to Poland before the war, part of the lands that had previously belonged to Hungary and Romania. So Romania and Hungary had some of...
Is he saying like Russification was a good thing, was a good policy? Because it was not a good policy. It was actually objectively a bad policy. Like it didn't work. It failed. He's saying the opposite. I didn't understand. Maybe he was saying the opposite. He says that the Russification didn't happen. Oh, he said the Soviets did the opposite of Russification. Oh. Yeah, no, totally.
Of their lands taken away and given to the Soviet Ukraine, and they still remain part of Ukraine. So in this sense, we have every reason to affirm that Ukraine is an artificial state that was shaped at Stalin's will.
Do you believe Hungary has a right to take its land back from Ukraine and that other nations?
He's complaining that Lenin preserved Ukraine. Well, I mean, if you're going to talk about like 2,000 years of like Kievan Rus or whatever, Kievan Rus or Ukrainian history and how it's actually Russian from the jump, then Russification should not even matter because they are Russian technically, right? Like, how are you going to maintain the position that both, like, there is no autonomous Ukrainian identity, they're all Russian, while simultaneously saying, well, Russification didn't really work, and it was actually all of the minority, or not minority, what is it, like secondary, altkimlik in Turkish, we have this term in Turkey. I don't know what it's called. It's like your secondary identity, I guess. When you're like a former empire, you have a lot of ethnicities that are now Turkish or that are now Russian, but I guess technically they would have like a secondary ethnicity as well. Like that would not exist for Ukraine if they were already Russian. So it wouldn't matter what Lenin thought about.
Nations have a right to go back to their 1654 borders?
I'm not sure whether they should go back to the 1654 borders. But given Stalin's time, so-called Stalin's regime, which as many claim saw numerous violations of human rights and violations of the rights of other states,
Wait, now he's shitting on Stalin?
One may say that they could claim back those lands of theirs while having no right to do that. It is at least understandable.
Have you told Viktor Orban that he can have part of Ukraine?
Never. I have never told him, not a single time. We have not even had any conversation on that, but I actually know for sure that Hungarians who live there wanted to get back to their historical land. Moreover, I would like to share a very interesting story with you. I digress. It's a
Bro, this is why I hate talking about Syria, but also hate talking about fucking Russia-Ukraine shit. Look. Putin making anti-Semitic conspiracies about Ukrainians instead of Jews. This guy, he's also a liar. Eastern Ukraine was anarcho-primitivist and part of the Hetmanate before the Muscovite settler colonials moved in under Catherine the Great. Actually, Russia is Ukrainian since Rus, since the first Rus was Kievan. Actually, according to this, Russia is Ukrainian since the first Rus was Kievan Rus. And now he's saying correct. Kiev was the origin of Orthodox civilization in Slavic lands. Moscow was a swamp then. everyone is going into deep lore for no fucking reason, okay? Russia is Russia, Ukraine is Ukraine. That's it. Leave it as is. You don't have to get to like paradox gaming conspiracies and map making in the chat as you write out paragraphs. Unless you're Moldovan Mama Liga, in which case you are allowed because all of Russia belongs to Moldova. Everybody knows this. And except for Crimea, which belongs to Turkey. Everybody also knows this. Give Crimea back to the Tatars so it can be a part of the Turkish Khanate. Once again, the Golden Horde will rise up. As you guys know, I am an Islamist fundamentalist caliphate defender who wants to restore Sharia law globally, specifically in the United States of America, as a fifth column style infiltrator. And son of oligarchs, private jet lover. What else? Yeah, secretly a neo-Ottomanist as well. Let's continue.
Personal one. Somewhere in the early 80s, I went on a road trip in a car from then Leningrad across the Soviet Union through Kiev. Made a stop in Kiev.
Are you pretending that you disagree with your buddy Vladimir? I used to support you, but you politically have changed. I'll be careful falling down this rabbit hole. The commissioner of the EU has considered levying financial sanctions against Tucker Carlson to the extent he now has to watch the ad break at the top of the hour. Come on, dog. There's no top of the hour yet. That's bullshit. That doesn't count. It's fucking 3:46, brother. That's insane.
And then went to Western Ukraine.
Bro, we are 21 minutes in. This dude is like barely getting to fucking World War II. Is it true that you chartered a private jet to the Burbank airport just to go to Portos? It's true.
I went to the town of Beregavoye. And all the names of towns and villages there were in Russian and in the language I did not understand, in Hungarian, in Russian and in Hungarian. Not in Ukrainian, in Russian and in Hungarian. I was driving through some kind of village and there were men sitting next to the houses and they were wearing black three-piece suits and black cylinder hats. I asked, are they some kind of entertainers? I was told, no, they were not entertainers, they're Hungarians. I said, what are they doing here? What do you mean? This is their land, they live here. This was during the Soviet time in the 1980s. They preserved the Hungarian language, Hungarian names, and all their national costumes. They are Hungarians and they feel themselves to be Hungarians. And of course, when now there is an infringement.
Well, that is, and there's a lot of that, though. I think many nations are upset about Transylvania as well, as you obviously know. But many nations feel frustrated by the redrawn borders of the wars of the 20th century.
Yeah, give it back to fucking Turkey, dog. Yapping around for no fucking particular reason, okay? It all belongs to the Ottoman Empire. I've been saying this. I've been saying it. And yet, for some reason, people don't want to respect it, okay? It's bullshit. It belongs to the Ottoman Empire, and that's why I'm going to do it. I'm going to be the guy who does it, okay? I am Vladimir Yapamir Putin.
And wars going back 1,000 years, the ones that you mentioned. But the fact is that you didn't make this case in public until 2 years ago, February. And in the case that you...
The Ottoman Empire? That's so bad. I've never even thought of that before. The Ottoman Empire, more like it? How dare you? How dare you? I'm fucking mad. Oh my God. The Ottoman Empire, unironically, is real. It's like that fucking... Remember that Tanzimat era thing I used to have on my desktop that I would show you guys sometimes, of like the dudes doing a circle of ass fucking from the Ottoman era, like that poster, the gay butt fucking circle. That is the Ottoman Empire. True. He stole that joke from a Twitter account named Jihad al-Haq. Damn. The Ottoman Empire destroys the Byzantine Empire. I can't show you the actual butt fucking circle, but I used to have that shit directly on my desktop. Like it's the fucking horse porn folder of a particular content creator. next to my taxes. Oh, okay. Let's continue.
Made, which I read today. You explain at great length that you felt a physical threat from the West in NATO, including potentially a nuclear threat, and that's what got you to move. Is that a fair characterization of what you said?
He said, "Я понимаешь, I'm
I understand
yapping."
that my long speeches
I am
probably
yapping.
fall outside
Oh my God, he is saying he's yapping. "Я понимаешь, I'm yapping."
of the genre.
Threat from the West in NATO, including potentially a nuclear threat, and that's what got you to move. Is that a fair?
Dude, Tucker Carlson's literally like, dog, stop talking about how you want Ukraine and Ukraine is yours. You wanted to do it because like NATO, right? Like that's the reason why you wanted to do it, because NATO, right? Please, dude, what are you doing? He's like, come on, just say you're doing it because of NATO. That's what you said before the interview. Why are you saying all this stuff about how Ukraine is Russian and how it's been 1,000 years of being Russian and how you must take it back?
Characterization of what you said?
Я понимаю, что
Yeah, я понимаешь, I'm yapping. I know.
поскольку мои длинные диалоги, они
I understand that my long speeches probably fall outside of the genre of the interview. That is why I asked you at the beginning,
Yeah, he's saying yapping much.
are we going to have a serious talk or a show?
Так что не обижайтесь.
You said a serious talk. So bear with me, please.
Yapping too
We're coming
much.
to the point where the Soviet Ukraine was established. Then, in 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed, and everything that Russia had generously bestowed on Ukraine was dragged away by the latter. I'm coming to a very important point of today's agenda.
Этот развал Советского Союза.
Thank you.
It is very telling that the first 23 minutes of him was literally talking for like 1,000 years of history. And like, he hasn't even gotten to NATO yet. And Tucker had to like put him back on the rails and be like, you're doing it because of NATO, right? Like, you're doing it because of NATO. And the only thing he talks about is like, oh, the dissolution of the USSR. It's just like, and that's when Ukraine
After all,
formed.
the collapse of the Soviet Union was effectively initiated by the Russian
Я не
leadership.
знаю, чем тогда руководствовалось руководство.
Yeah, I wonder who in the Russian leadership effectively engaged in the collapse of the Soviet Union. Obviously, he would have nothing to do with that, right? I mean, Vladimir Putin himself, he would. It'd be real weird if he was. What a fake friend.
Но
I do not understand what the Russian leadership was guided by at the time, but I suspect there were several reasons to think everything would be fine.
первое. Ну, во-первых, я думаю, что руководство России исходило из того, что
First,
фундаментальные
I think that then Russian leadership believed that the fundamentals of the relationship between Russia and Ukraine were, in fact, a common language. More than 90% of the population there spoke Russian.
у каждого третьего какие-то родственные связи.
Family ties. Every third person there had some kind of family or friendship ties. Common culture, common history. Finally, common faith, coexistence.
Hassan sounding like another tongue-bathing establishment mouthpiece, to be honest. Yes, famously, I love being a tongue-bathing establishment mouthpiece, which is precisely why I'm simultaneously called a Hamas terrorist, a dick writer for Iran, a dick writer for China, and even a dick writer for Vladimir Putin. Having a nuanced perspective on global conflicts means that I am, that's it. I'm dick riding everybody, and simultaneously none at all. I'm actually dick riding Anderson Cooper and Jake Tapper.
Existence with a single state for centuries and deeply interconnected economies.
Экономика очень сильно взаимосвязана.
All of these were so fundamental. All these elements together make our good relationships inevitable.
Я хочу, чтобы вы, как американские гражданины, чтобы
The second point is a very important one.
прежнее российское
I
руководство
want you, as an American citizen, and your viewers to hear about this as well.
больше никаких разделителей.
The former Russian leadership assumed that the Soviet Union had ceased to exist, and therefore there were no longer any ideological dividing lines.
Инициативно пошла даже на развал Советского Союза.
Russia even agreed voluntarily and proactively to the collapse of the Soviet
Так
Union,
называемым
and believed that this would be understood by the so-called civilized West as an invitation for cooperation and
вот чего
association.
ожидала Россия.
That is what Russia was expecting, both from the United States and the so-called collective West as a whole.
том числе и в Германии. Эгон Барр.
There were smart people, including in Germany. Egon Bahr, a major politician of the Social Democratic Party, who insisted in his personal conversations with the Soviet leadership on the brink of the collapse of the Soviet Union that a new security system should be established in Europe.
Помочь объединиться Германии, но
Help should be given to unify Germany, but a new system should be also established to include the United States, Canada, Russia, and other Central European countries.
Is he talking about NATO now? Is that what it is? He like went back to post World War II, I think. He talked about the dissolution of the USSR, and then like I can't tell. I can't keep track. Is he now going back to NATO? Because if he had started talking about NATO, if he started talking about NATO from the jump, yeah, he started talking about NATO. If he had started talking about NATO from the jump, he would have a better argument, in my opinion.
Yes.
One, because like Americans don't, the right is like, I guess, ostensibly isolationist, even though they would love NATO in principle. I think they just hate it because like Trump said he doesn't like it. Because I really don't understand why the right doesn't like NATO in general, because like it's everything that they love, just like destroying Libya. You know what I mean? I don't really know why. NATO is European, which is gay. Yeah, I don't think they understand what NATO is. That's why they kind of hate it, or they hate on it. Because of taxes. Yeah, it's so dumb. They don't really get it. Anyway.
But NATO needs not to expand. That's what he said. If NATO expands, everything would be just the same as during the Cold War, only closer to Russia's borders. That's all. He was a wise old man, but no one listened to him. In fact, he got angry once. If he's
I guess this is why he had to describe like how Ukraine is Russia technically. Because if your only security concerns are NATO, then you can deal with that without invading Ukraine. But if your security concerns come from NATO, and on top of that, Ukraine is technically a Russian, then he can justify why he's just taking back his land and protecting his own people that are being oppressed by, the scary Ukrainian administration that's like Western dogs or something.
Said, "You don't listen to me. I'm never setting my foot in Moscow once again." Everything happened just as he had said.
Well, of course, it did come true, and you've mentioned this many times. I think it's a fair point, and many in America thought that relations between Russia and the United States would be fine with the collapse of the Soviet Union and the end of the Cold War. That the opposite happened, but you've never explained why you think that happened, except to say that the West fears a strong Russia, but we have a strong China the West does not seem very afraid of.
What? Wait. The fuck do you mean? Tucker, what the hell are you saying, dude? The West does not fear a strong China? Brody, where is it? There's like one article about like how U.S. Army Special Forces on long-term bases being placed Green Berets being stationed in the Republic of China's 101st Amphibious Reconnaissance Battalion on a long-term basis on Kinmen and Matsu. There's literally fucking new defense positions opening up surrounding China. The notion that like America isn't trying to fucking put the same stranglehold on China that it did on the USSR and then subsequently Russia is crazy. I mean, he's not completely wrong militarily. There's more fear against Russia than China since China is relatively inactive militarily. I guess there's that.
What about Russia, do you think, convinced policymakers they had to take it down?
Запад боится сильного Китая больше, чем сильной России.
The West is afraid of strong China more than it fears a strong Russia. Because Russia has 150 million people and China has 1.5 billion population, and its economy is growing by leaps and bounds, or 5% a year. It used to be even more. But that's enough for China. As Bismarck once put it, potentials are the most important. China's potential is enormous. It is the biggest economy in the world today in terms of purchasing power parity and the size of the economy. It has already overtaken the United States quite a long time ago, and it is growing at a rapid clip. Let's not talk about who is afraid of whom. Let's not reason in such terms. And let's get into the fact that after 1991, when Russia expected that it would be welcomed into the brotherly family of civilized nations, nothing like this happened. You tricked us. I don't mean you personally when I say you. Of course, I'm talking about the United States. The promise was that NATO would not expand eastward, but it happened 5 times. There were 5 waves of expansion. We tolerated all that. We were trying to persuade them. We were saying, please don't. We are as bourgeois now as you are. We are market economy and there is no communist party.
I mean, this part is true. He's not wrong. He ain't wrong about that. I mean, worst guy to say that, but he's right. He's like, we're capitalists. We love capitalism. I love yapping just like you do. I hear, suka blyat, I hear Hasanabi serving top of the hour at break. He says he's socialist, yet he served at break at top of the hour. What's that about? Your socialists are also just as bourgeois as we are. We love capitalism.